Welcome, productivity fans. It's Cham Tang here, Chief Efficiency Officer at Authentic Education. Now, this is the second video in this series on the Personal Information Manager, MyInfo, which is the ultimate one I've been using for 12 years. I'm going to run through now how to set it up in this video, and we're also going to be using the template that you can download from the website. If you haven't yet got the template, then go here to get the template, authenticeducation.com.au/free stuff. If you haven't bought MyInfo yet, you can get it here, authenticeducation.com.au/MyInfo. So there it is, and you'll get this exact template that I'm using now. Comes with a nice picture of me as well, so that's all for free. And here we go. So how to use it, we've kind of gone through that in the last video, but I'm put it here in this template just so you know as well. Glossary of terms, we'll go through them quickly. A document is something like this: options, customization, glossary, they're all documents. And a sub-document, you could say, as an example, glossary is a sub-document of setting up MyInfo. Parent and child document, they're kind of self-explanatory. Glossary is the child, setting up MyInfo is the parent document there. Editor pane, this whole section here is the editor pane. And in terms of the text editor, okay, this is also known as the text editor. MIO, that's the file extension or the shortcut way of saying MyInfo. So this file will be called template.mio. And when there's only one file up, that little folder icon that you saw there before no longer appears. MIB, that's a backup file, so MyInfo backup file, just in case for some reason it crashes, although it rarely does ever. It's quite stable these days. That's the MIB file. MyLinux, the company that created MyInfo. Topics, you can see if I had all of these different documents here make up one topic called template.mio. That's the topic, but you can have different ones, like one for your personal life, one for business. Tree pane, that's the thing here on the left, the tree pane. And you can toggle it, you can make it, bigger or smaller as you like. Now I'm going to show you how I would set it up as well. We're going to go through the options. So we're going to go Tools, Options, and then you just follow the screenshots below. That's fairly self-explanatory. So if we go to the first one, I'm saying you should go to Tools, then Options, and then in the general box, you should just exactly have it how I do there. Same with Startup. Just follow all these different things: display, show tree lines, etc. Options to save. You can make it so it always backs up every 10 minutes automatically. When you exit MyInfo, it saves it and it creates a backup copy, which is that MIB file. And I've got here, if you're using Dropbox, you may not want to do it every 10 minutes. If bandwidth is a concern, you might want to change it to 30 minutes. It's up to you. But I have mine on 10 because bandwidth isn't a huge concern for me. You can check the spelling as you type. There we go. And it's some advanced options. Use single mouse click to open hyperlinks. That's kind of self-explanatory. That just means if I've got a hyperlink like this, I only have to click it once and I can go straight to that link there, as you can see. All right, and the hide status bar. I want to maximize the space I've got. So if I were to view the status bar, then it would show me a lot of what I think is useless information and just take up room down there at the bottom. So I kind of hide that status bar. And enable incremental search in tree. Having that checked, which I strongly advise you do, means if I want to search for this, write a book, that I can just start typing WRITE and it'll bring up all the stuff that, all the documents that start with that. All right, so there are all the different options. Customizations. Here's where it gets interesting in the power of MyInfo comes through. So you can customize lots of things. I've streamlined it so you can remove the task pane. So this here on the right is the task pane. I can click there to remove it. And if I want to bring it back, I can go View and then Task pane as well. I can remove tags from appearing in the top right-hand corner. So if you ever see some tag in the top right-hand corner, you can get rid of them. You can remove the ruler as well. There's a little ruler thing here. I don't think it's that useful, so I remove it. You can remove toolbars by just going to the View and then the toolbars, and anything that you don't really want to see, like let's say stored web. I don't think that was that important. Make sure the MyInfo window is wide enough to fit the toolbars, otherwise the screen size can resize when you toggle between tree pane and edit pane. What that means is sometimes if you've got this too skinny because you're trying to save room like this, See how there comes a point where there's not enough room at the top section here to fit all the toolbars? You don't want to do that because this kind of changes every time you toggle from the tree pane to the editor pane. You just got to give it enough room. So in this example, it would be right there. That's when the toolbars at the top, all those buttons had enough room to display. That's the skinniest you'd want it. All right, so what else have we got next in customizations? Let's have a look. You can customize the tree pane, so there's emoticons there. So things like light bulbs and smiley faces and flags. I think that's kind of not needed because it takes up extra room in the tree pane. I can show you how to do it later on. You can also select the document here on the left and then change the font and stuff of it. So let's say for shortcuts, if I wanted to make that bold, I can do Control B, which is a shortcut. I'll go bold up here. I can make it a different font if I want, make it bigger, make the background yellow if I want to, and that's how it will appear. Yeah, so that's the customization you can do there. You can also resize the tree pane like I've showed you before by dragging it in and out if you want to give yourself more or less room. And you can put a color for your actual topic. So before, when we had our own personal or business MyInfo at the you can make that a different color as well by going to, there we go, Files, Properties and Security. What else have we got? Appearance, and then select different colors. And show state icons in the tree. That's those emoticons that I was talking about before. So that's where I could have this easy one. That could be a red flag as an example. But I'm going to turn that off because I don't really like it. You can put a password on the entire MyInfo document as well, just by following those instructions there. Shortcuts. So all of these shortcuts are for PC. For the Mac, it's essentially the same thing really, because you're going to be installing it on a Mac using a program called Crossover. And with the Crossover installation, anything, once you're using the MyInfo program, you're using the actual Windows shortcuts. So it would be, as an example, Control C would be for copy still, even though you're using a Mac. So all these shortcuts below, they'll work for PC and Mac. If you want to see what all the keyboard shortcuts are, you go to Tools and then Keyboard Shortcuts, and it shows all of them. So once again, this is a tree thing. So if I type the letter M, I can go to all the shortcuts that start with M. And I can see that, you know, to maximize the editor, I hit Control Shift E. But if I want to change that for some reason, well, I recommend you don't. But if you wanted to, you could click here and you could assign a different shortcut for that. So all the shortcuts are there, but I've got the common ones below. By the way, as with many applications, underlined letters in menu names indicate the keyboard access to the menu. What that means is if you want to get to the File menu here, all you got to do is go Alt, then F. Then if you want to go to, let's say, Export, you could just type the letter E, because E is what's underlined there. And then it would go to Export. And that's like that with Microsoft Word and everything, really. Here are the common shortcuts. A lot of them work in many applications like Microsoft Word as well. If I'm on this document and then I want to go to a next one, I can go back by going Alt left arrow, and it'll bring me back to where I was just then. Going forward in a document, Alt right arrow. That's a similar thing to a browser like Google Chrome as well. Going to a specific document in the tree pane, type the first few letters like we've already seen. I can go E, A, S, and that goes to easy. What else is next? I can rename a document. So if I want to rename this particular document, I can hit F2 to rename it, and then just change it to whatever I want to change it to. And that's the same with like Excel. If you want to go within a cell, or you want to rename a file in Windows Explorer, you just hit F2 as well. To bold text, Control B, underline, italicize, that's all there. Left align things, so I could type in something here and I could go Control E to middle align, right align, left align. Bullet points, Control Shift Z. I mean, all of that is there for you to do. Undo, Control Z, redo. But there are some other special MyInfo shortcuts. So if I want to insert today's date, I can go to Control Shift A and it puts today's date in. Date and time, I can hit F4 and that'll do the date and time there. And there's many other things here that you can do. If you're not sure on how to use something, I hardly use it, but you can hit F1 and then actually search all of the different things. So if you're not sure on something to do with the editor, as an example, they might have instructions there on how to use it. Once again, I hardly use that, but it is there, especially when you first start off. You can do a find and replace. You can do custom shortcuts. So here is where you start to do custom shortcuts. I'll give you an example of one I've done. And there's not that many. Control-Alt-Z I use to collapse the whole thing. So sometimes you might be looking at all your different notes, but now it's too overwhelming. So if I do Control-Alt-Z, then all of those will collapse. But you got to set it up first. So you might do Tools and then Keyboard Shortcuts. And then I might hit C and I'll go to Collapse All. So I can change this if I want to. I just think it's a little bit better when it's Control, Alt, and then Z, and I click Assign. So now that's assigned. So when I go back and hit it, all of those collapse automatically. I can bring them back up if I want to. Next is you can toggle between the tree and text editor. Just change that to Alt plus Q. So what that means, if I'm here and I want to go there, I can have a shortcut for that without using the mouse. I mean, it's just a little more ideal when you don't have to touch the mouse because it's slower. And you can set that up once again by going to Tools, then Keyboard Shortcuts, then you look for T for toggle, toggle between tree and text editor, and I just think it's better when that is Alt and then Q. Here we go. That was already been assigned. Okay, so I had already done it before. Next, the most important one, which is the headings and styles. Here are the different headings. And by the way, if you've got this actual template, all these headings should already be done. So if you type in something and you hit Control 1, it should look like that. Control 2, Control 3, because those styles are already inbuilt into the template. But if for some reason it's not working or you want to change it, here is what you do. You set up all your different shortcuts. So I would go Tools, Keyboard Shortcuts, and then look for the thing that says Style, Text Style Heading 1, then assign that shortcut, Control 1, all the way up to 5. I've got 5 different ones there. And then then you decide what they look like. So you go Format, and then Styles, and then here's where you say, okay, Heading 1, here's what it looks like. You're going to choose the background color if there is one. You can choose the font size, what kind of font it is, you know, if it's Arial or whatever it is. And that's where you set all those things. And then you just hit Apply, and then that will take effect. I've got instructions right there as well. There's a few other shortcuts. You can read about them here, like to insert a document, Control N. So you need to be in the tree pane for this to work. What that means is if I'm in the tree pane here, I go Control N, and that creates a new document. And I just rename it to whatever I want, and then I can start typing in it there. And a subdocument, you know, Control Shift Alt N, and it does that as well. Once you're here in this tree section, you just hit up and down, and it goes to all the different things you want. If I go to a document that has subdocuments, like the future one, I can click the right arrow, and that will expand it all. I can click the left arrow, and that will collapse it back in, and then I can go back to exactly what I was doing. You can copy and paste things as well. So let's say I've got this particular document. I can go Control C to copy, or I can right click and select copy. I can go Control V to paste, and yeah, it just makes an exact replica of it. They can be the exact same name, and you can just hit the delete button or right click and delete if you want to as well, and it deletes it all. Now there's many shortcuts, you can read about them here. You don't have to know all of them. I mean, you can do things with a mouse intuitively as well. You can also add favorites, which is like a little shortcut thing you can do, so that if you always go back to this focus section, you can create a shortcut to do that using favorites. There's instructions on how to do it here as well for you. It's more of an advanced one, so I'm not really going to go through it now. So here's some tricky features that I've found useful. If you've got 2 or more topics open, like I showed you in the previous video, just like this is the topic name here. You can toggle between them by doing Control Tab. If you've got 2 or more of them open, what you can do is you can tile them. So you could go, I think it's Window, Tile vertically, or you go Window, Tile horizontally, which is more what you would want to do. If you double click it, that will maximize. You can tile, here we go, not sure what's happening. Tile vertically, there we go. And then you can resize them and do whatever you would like, so that you can copy and paste all the information from one to another if things are really, really complex. All right, you can search all topics just by putting your search thing in this box. What else can you do? Copy a link. Yeah, if you want to, you could copy a link to a document. So the glossary, I could click and follow, and it would go to that other document. And the way you do that is you just right click and you go copy link to this document, and then you can paste it anywhere. So you could paste it here as an example as well. If you really wanted to, you can insert a table. They're not the best, but you can do it. You just go to the table, insert, and then however many columns and stuff you want. So that is how you set it up and use it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Once you start using it, once again, you'll wonder how you ever did without it, and it's your central place that you get things done, the central place you go to when you ever want anything done in terms of goals, tasks, ideas, to-do lists right now. It's all here. So I hope you get as much out of it as I have. Thank you very much.